evening. Hey, Eric. Is this on? Hello. Good evening and welcome, everybody. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes, so if you could take your seat, that would be much appreciated. If you're a staff member, you're welcome to sit down too. If you're standing in front of the presentation, you're doubly welcome to sit down. All right, welcome and thank you for coming to our annual town hall. We are going to do the state of the city tonight. That'll be given by Mayor Graham. We will also do some awards for some long-term volunteers for our community and city. And then we will free you all to talk to the experts in the room. We have wonderful staff members here to talk about a number of topics tonight. So thank you to all the staff members who are here tonight. So I would like to introduce Mayor Graham to give the state of the city. So if we can give it up for her. And I just want to doubly recognize her. She is under the weather tonight, and she is still here, which I am thankful because now I don't have to do it. So I'm going to give her another round of applause. Thank you, Mayor Graham.
Thank you. Oh, hang on. I am going to do my very best not to squeak tonight while I'm talking. That's going to be my goal. Welcome to the City of Ashland's 3rd annual January Town Hall. It is wonderful to be here with all of you, in spite of being under the weather. I also want to welcome those who are joining us from home and to thank RVTV for live streaming this event tonight. This is one of the ways that we help make sure that people know what's happening in our city. We have come together tonight to celebrate a year's worth of progress at our city, enjoy each other's company, honor some outstanding community volunteers, and look forward to the new year. First, I want to thank the city staff who have organized our time together this evening. Sabrina Cotta, who was just up here, leads a top-notch staff at the city manager's office, and they have done a fantastic job putting this together, particularly Dorinda Cottle, who is our communications officer, and Alyssa Kolodzinski, our city recorder. So please help me thank them for their good work tonight. And thank you to SOU for once again hosting this event for our community. President Bailey and the SOU team are great partners on so many levels, and we appreciate their support this year as we have appreciated in the past. Thank you, President Bailey. And I also want to acknowledge that Joseph Hattrick, our superintendent of schools, is here with us this evening as well. Thanks for coming, Joseph. And your city councilors are here as well. So please stand and give us a wave when I call your name. Councilor Dylan Bloom. There's Dylan. Oh, they're all in one section. That's going to make this a lot easier, at least most of them. Councilor Gina Duquesne. Councilor Eric Hansen. Councilor Bob Kaplan. There he is. And our newest councilor, Doug Nauer. Council Chair Jeff Dale is unable to be with us tonight, but he sends his best wishes. I also want to acknowledge our Ashland Parks and Recreation Commissioners who are here. Commission Chair Jim Bachman. Are you here, Jim? To stand up and wave when I call your name if you're here. Justin Adams. Mike Gardner. Mike Gardner, stand up, Mike. There you go, all the way up. Rick Lant, and Dan Wiener. So I would like us to give it up one more time for our City Council and our APRC commissioners. They do an incredible amount of work, both in front of the public and also the work talking with organizations and keeping their finger on the pulse of this community to do their job. So let's give them one more round of applause, please. And now for the state of the city. When we came together last year, we were still rebuilding our staff, our processes, our relationships, but we had high hopes for the new year. And here we are 1 year later with so much good progress to report. Ashland is starting to see the results of strategic focus and hard work. Across our community, we are seeing our partner organizations like SOU, OSF, and the Ashland School District face difficult challenges and make bold moves to ensure their future sustainability. The past 12 months have seen great forward momentum at the city as well, and I'd like to share some of the highlights. The full list will be available on the city's website in the next day or two, so don't worry, I'm not giving you all of the highlights from the city. That would take us way too long, but I want to share the big ones. And we have a slide presentation. And here they are. Okay. In addition to the standard work of maintaining our infrastructure, our utilities, our public safety programs, and our parks and recreation elements, the city continues to work on the priorities that were identified by the community in the 2023 Town Hall. Reducing our wildfire risk, taking climate action, strengthening our economy, and addressing affordability. And to support actions to address these goals, your counselors and I have all taken on additional liaison roles with community partners so that we can understand what is happening with them and we can make sure that the city is the best possible partner. Our advisory committees and commissions provide vital assistance in helping Ashland meet its goals and are a key ingredient to the council's success. All committees and commissions have entered this new year with thoughtful and ambitious work plans that will help the council make real progress on our most important work over the next year. If you volunteer for a city committee or commission, would you please stand so your community can thank you? Our city manager's office is key to all of our city accomplishments. So the council filling the permanent city manager role this last year was particularly important. We appreciate all Sabrina Kade is doing to build capacity in this office and support the entire municipal operation. One of the things the city manager's office does is to engage this community to find out what is on the minds of our residents. And Sabrina loves it when I put a giant picture of her up on the screen. So, the city manager's office put out the livability survey last year. How many of you answered the livability survey when it got to you? We had a nice, strong return of that survey. And what it told us was that 90% of our respondents felt that Ashland is a great place to live. 78% felt that Ashland is a great place to drive, bike, and walk. 92% feel that Ashland is a great place for fitness, recreation, and accessing nature. And 91% feel that Ashland is a great place for culture, arts, and music. There were some concerns that were also highlighted in that survey. Overall economic health, safety from natural disasters, although 78% feel that the city is doing a good or excellent job with emergency preparedness, and communicating with the city. I'm going to share now with you what the city manager's office is already doing to address these concerns. In terms of economic development, we have granted $85,000 to support local events that draw in visitors from outside. We have granted over $256,000 to local businesses for building improvements to their businesses. We've invested over $500,000 in destination marketing through Travel Ashland, awarded $140,000 in early childhood affordability program grants to support working families in our community, and initiated a sandwich board pilot program at the request of our local businesses to allow for signs in front of their shops. In terms of natural disaster response, we have updated our evacuation zones and installed 50 additional street signs, held 10 emergency preparedness and tabletop exercises with community partners to practice emergency response, helped the YMCA and the school district develop evacuation plans and response protocols, implemented the severe weather shelter for 54 nights in 2024, stood up the Joint Emergency Operations Center for 3 different events. And this one is particularly important because of what we learned from the Alameda fire. We continue to refine our emergency communications efforts to ensure that all of you have fast, accurate information in the event of a disaster. And you will have seen this refinement when we had that brush fire just outside of the city this last year. If you were signed up for our emergency alerts, you would have seen that the city is working very hard to keep you updated in real time. In terms of communications, how many of you have gone to our new website? Oh, there is more to be done there. 22,000 visits a month to our new website. And I know what an incredible lift that was in terms of the staff and what they had to do in order to get that in place. We had been essentially using our website as a repository of old documents, and so it was an incredible lift. And we are hoping that it is helping everyone find what they need when they come to the city looking for services. In addition, we started our See, Click, Fix. We got that app underway so that you can tell us when you see something that needs the city's attention. It is also on the website. We hosted coffee and conversations events with our city council and city staff. We increased our social media presence so that we can help get the word out about more of the events and the activities at the city. The city manager is now holding office hours where the public is free to come in and talk with her. And we now have a Council Corner article in the Ashland News, and we also have a new column just this last month in the sneak preview. Our city staff also helped our community move forward with our sister city relationships by working with the Amigo Club to welcome representatives from our longtime sister city, Guanajuato, Mexico, and send Ashland representatives to Guanajuato. They also supported our community partner, the Ashland Sviatahirsk Aid Project, in raising the funds to send our Ukrainian sister city, Sviatahirsk, a new dump truck. And you can't see it very well, but there's a little insignia, a thing that says Ashland on the front there. Before we move on from the city manager's office, which is where our emergency management efforts live, we are going to practice remembering our evacuation zones. We did this last year, and we're going to do it every year because it is incredibly important that we all know our evacuation zones. So on the count of 3, I want you to yell out your evacuation zone. All right? You ready? 1, 2, 3. 6! Give yourself a hand. If you didn't know your zone or you cheated and made something up when we had to yell, you are in luck because our emergency services folks are here tonight. They can help you get the information you need. No one will make you confess to anything. They are just here to help. And that was a wonderful sound. I think it was louder than last year. I think we have more people who know their evacuation zones this year. On the staffing side, I am so pleased to report that our turnover rate has held for the second year at 8%, which is well within the typical kind of standard range for an organization of the city's size. And that good effort required hiring and onboarding 43 new employees last year, including key positions like Deputy City Manager, Parks and Recreation Director, the Golf Course Manager, and Water Quality Supervisor. Over in ComDev, they provide development assistance for residents, business owners, and developers. The office is also the home of our work to address the housing crisis, provide assistance to our low-income neighbors, and develop public art projects. Our ComDev team this last year worked to implement the action items in the city's housing production strategy. And we did this by providing plans free of charge to property owners who would like to create second units on their properties. So if you have enough space on your property and you would like to create an accessory dwelling unit, you can get free plans from the city, so you can go immediately to construction. They also assisted the council in land banking our first 6 affordable lots in the Beach Creek subdivision. They supported the development of a community land trust. And all of these things are key elements of that housing production strategy. And I think one of the things that happens sometimes with local governments is we see a lot of planning. We don't see as much implementation. And so what they're doing in the ComDev department to move those larger efforts forward is really critical to us meeting our goals as a community. They also, and this is where the day-to-day work comes in, they issued over 1,100 building permits and processed 74 land use applications, performed plan reviews on 510 projects in the city of Ashland, and conducted over 3,800 inspections. They also investigated 242 code violation complaints. And importantly, and this comes to that place of helping the community and the city be more efficient, the department pulled together a management advisory committee to develop recommendations to improve the online permitting process, encourage accessory dwelling units, simplify the tree removal permit process, and come up with other strategies to streamline the processes that folks have when they come to the ComDev department for help. They moved the city forward in identifying climate-friendly and equitable areas under state law. And in terms of supporting affordable housing development and emergency shelter services, the city awarded $350,000 in affordable housing trust funds to organizations that are working to address homelessness and affordable housing. They awarded over $220,000 of federal community development block grant funding to local organizations and directed the remaining $112,000 to support building improvements at the 2200 Ashland Street site. They awarded $134,000 to community partners to develop or to distribute essential services to those in need, and they completed a homeless services assessment to help guide future efforts. And that was one of the main lifts that the Housing and Human Services Advisory Committee did last year. We asked them to focus on this, and they did a Herculean job of bringing that across the finish line on time, so that the ad hoc committee that the city put together to identify the uses that will be at this building on Ashland Street could use that assessment in making that plan. In terms of our municipal court, the council appointed Judge Ryan Mulkins after the retirement of Judge Pam Turner earlier this year. In 2024, the court processed almost 2,000 cases, conducted 74 criminal hearings, cleared 324 warrants, and implemented an online records search program. Again, back to that theme of streamlining our operations. In terms of our Department of Innovation and Technology, or our DO-IT department, I think we particularly like that acronym works so well. They focused heavily on making improvements to our technology systems that had been planned in the 2023 planning processes. The team implemented new network monitoring practices that result in 4,500 cases and 218 incident investigations, implemented a new ticketing system and asset management program, upgraded software for major systems in the city, and our GIS staff updated evacuation maps so that they could include the evacuation zones that are just outside the city but are in the county system, and so that people can understand what is happening if something's happening in an evacuation zone that isn't within our 10 evacuation zones. And they also helped us deploy the See Click Fix app and put all of the city's maps in one place on the website so that you can find them when you go looking for them. Over at AFN, 2024 saw 4 miles of new fiber optic cable installed, and the new network expanded to businesses on the south side of Ashland and the Railroad District. AFN has an all-time record number of customers in the network at 4,264. Over in Public Works, it was a big year again for implementing projects that had been planned in previous years. The Ashland Street project, which included protected bike lanes and improved pedestrian safety elements. We all have seen that as we've driven down Ashland Street on that side of town. They completed the wastewater UV system upgrades and the wastewater treatment plant outfall relocation project. And that's the project that is helping to make sure that the water that we put back into the creek after we have treated it is not so warm that it causes problems for native fish. So that's a critical, not only a utility project, but also one that is critical for our conservation ethic. They also completed the roof and floor repairs to Briscoe School, and as we all know, the repairs to the community center and Pioneer Hall are underway. Now we'll move on to public safety, and we'll talk about what happened this last year when we called for help. Ashland Fire and Rescue crews responded to 5,916 calls for service, which is up 9% from 2023. Of these, a little bit over 1,000 were for fire calls. The remaining almost 5,000 were medical, with 10 being special rescue calls, and 121 of these calls were for incidences that were on the interstates. So remember that our people are also taking care of a section of the interstate. We offered mutual aid to Mercy's ambulance service area 99 times, which was down from 137 a year before, and we asked for help from them 89 times. Our single-role emergency medical service teams have been wildly successful at helping us meet the growing demand for services while keeping our firefighters closer to home during wildfire season. So these teams are entirely focused on medical calls. And what has happened since we put this program in place is that last year in 2023, every little bit over 3 days, we would have a call come in where we would have to ask for help. Last year it was a little bit over every day, so 1.2 days. Every 1.2 days, a call would come in that we would have to ask for help for. This year it was 3.17 days. So that's an incredible improvement over where we were before. And it really is because of this innovative system that the fire and rescue folks have put into place. We also responded to a mass die-off of trees in our watershed by thinning dead and dying trees. Over 450 acres were treated, and 40% of that cost was compensated to us by partnering with a mill to turn those trees into wood products. We also assisted the Forest Service in conducting controlled burns on over 125 acres to protect our community from wildfire, hosted the Green Debris Drop-Off Day, and continued to help Ashland residents address wildfire risk through FEMA's Pre-Disaster Risk Mitigation Grant that we received a couple of years ago. We trained and supported Community Emergency Response Team and Wildfire Risk Assessment Program volunteers. And we took the mutual aid concept one step further by sending assistance down to help our friends with the LA fires. So thank you so much to our Ashland Fire and Rescue team. On the other side of public safety, the Ashland Police Department handled 24,990 calls for service. That's a lot. I heard that. It is a lot. We tend to see our officers in different places, and I think it's good at times to step back and say, wow, how many times is this community actually calling on them for help? It is incredible how many calls they respond to. In addition, they brought on 7 new team members and reinstituted the School Resource Officer Program, which we had been trying to reinstitute for quite some time. And they established a second satellite office near Exit 14. And we know we love our parades and our outdoor events, and so one of the things that our police officers do is make sure that we can frolic in the streets and we can dance and we can have our good time and we can do it safely. So that's one of the other elements that we appreciate from our Ashland Police Department. Our public safety programs rely heavily on community volunteers. If you volunteer with either Ashland Fire and Rescue or the Ashland Police Department, would you please stand and receive the appreciation of your grateful community? Our electric department once again did a fabulous job of keeping electricity flowing for our residents and businesses, doing the day-to-day work of maintaining our system and responding to 20 after-hours outage calls. The team passed all Public Utility Commission safety and vegetation management inspections and completed the electric system master plan. And here is that mutual aid concept again. Our electric department sent a 4-man crew up to Springfield last year. Do you remember when they had that freeze that just wouldn't break up in Springfield? It was taking their electrical system down, and people were without power all across the Springfield area, completely overwhelmed their systems. And they put out a call for help, and Ashland was one of the first communities to respond. We sent a 4-man crew up for 10 days, and afterward we started getting these notes in the mail from people who had had their electricity restored by our people. They looked out their window and they saw Ashland's crew, and this is kind of the best stuff, right, of what we can do when we can not only take care of our own community, but we can lend a hand to others when they need it. Our energy conservation programs live in the electric department, and last year the community took the city up on its incentive offers for energy conservation by taking incentives for 35 electric vehicles, 72 electric bikes, 30 induction cooktops, 60 solar installations, 171 incentives for other energy efficient measures, and 4 zero-interest energy efficiency loans. Over in the finance department, in addition to securing another clean audit, our finance team fully staffed and trained the utility billing division and reopened walk-in hours to the public. I know. They have done, again, an incredible job of bringing that system back into alignment and making sure that people can get to the help that they need. We are still working on some of those elements, but I'm really proud of the work that our finance department has done with utility billing. They reduced delinquent receivables by 33% since last spring by helping residents get onto payment plans. They revamped the purchasing process to make it more efficient while maintaining appropriate controls. They improved automation that saves over 120 hours per month across city departments. And across all of the departments, working with the finance department, the city of Ashland secured over $6.1 million in grants last year. And that is something that goes, and we can thank all of the departments for that. In terms of parks and recreation, in addition to managing our parks, open space, and recreation programs, Parks and Recreation also hosts our senior services programs. This year, again, 2024, was a big year for Parks and Recreation. They received $1.7 million in grants from the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department's local government grant program to support a major maintenance project at the Hunter Park tennis courts and Phase 1 of East Main Park. They processed 46 special event applications for events that occurred in the parks and helped create new and expanded community events like Epic Ashland's Summer Sounds concerts and Blackstone Audio's Rock the Knoll. The department implemented new registration software, and this is going to be another one of those numbers. Cleaned 37,960 restrooms. That's a lot. Now, they're not all different restrooms. It's the same restroom multiple times, but you get the picture. Over 19,000 people participated in senior services programs, and the Recreation Division provided over 250 programs that resulted in over 1,200 hours of programs and classes. A special thank you to the Ashland Parks Foundation for raising the $800,000 necessary to restore the Butler Perazzi Fountain. The work of Parks and Recreation also depends on the dedication of a small army of volunteers who contributed over 12,000 hours of their time in 2024. If you volunteer for any parks, recreation, or senior programs, or anywhere else in the city that I have not mentioned up to this point yet, please stand and let us acknowledge your good work. All of the progress that I've shared was created by our staff with the help of many volunteers and the City Council. You will notice a trend running through the various departments of improving systems and efficiency, automating and simplifying processes to better serve our residents, and to make city government processes more cost-effective. Our staff has made great strides in this organization-wide effort this year and will continue this good work into the future. We have an incredible staff, and many of them are here with us this evening. In my 6 years of being involved with the City Council, I have been continually impressed with their dedication, professionalism, creativity, and work ethic. If you are a staff person for the City of Ashland, would you please stand, or if you're already standing, please wave, and receive appreciation from your community. Now looking ahead to 2025. In 2025, we are going to continue to streamline governmental processes at the City of Ashland. We are going to complete the economic opportunities analysis, the manufactured park zone ordinance, and the climate-friendly areas process, as well as our electric rate study. We will roll out the USDA on-bill financing program for our conservation programs, develop the 2025 to 27 biennial budget, and expand our utility assistance program. We will continue wildfire home assessments, train contractors in wildfire risk reduction, and ramp up fire inspections. We will continue the fiber rollout with the Ashland Fiber Network, and we will focus in terms of parks, on the construction of the new East Main Park. We will install wayfinding signage to send visitors to other commercial parts of Ashland. We will continue to focus on the downtown and Cap East zones in terms of livability, complete the water rate study, develop a facilities plan to address deferred maintenance, work to secure grant funding for the new water treatment plant, and complete the remodel of Pioneer Hall and the community center and the shelter building at 2200 Ashland Street. Pioneer Hall and the community center will be done, we're expected this spring. So that's what we have lining up for next year. And all of that is in addition to what the community or the city is already doing. It's a big task, but we are up to it. Our staff is up to it. Our city volunteers are up to it, and our council is up to it. And now I would like to talk about something that I think is in the room, and that is the bigger picture of the world at the moment. And if you will humor me, I will close before I do that. The larger world is changing rapidly in ways that are frightening and unpredictable, and they threaten many of the values that we share here in Ashland. I won't list the many ways that this change is happening. We all know what that story is. But many people in our community are frightened. They are concerned for their neighbors, for their country, for their planet. And so this is the world in which we come into 2025. And so if you think about what city government does, it's really the nuts and bolts of essential services and quality of life for our residents. But city government is not immune to major changes that happen at the federal level or at the state level. And so just know that we are paying attention to what is happening. We are paying attention to the programs that support our work. We are doing everything we can to advocate for the things that are important to our community, and working to stay abreast of these changes so that we can respond accordingly. And if you'll humor me, I will close with a sports analogy. Counselor Dale has nothing on me when it comes to sports analogies. I grew up playing basketball, and then I coached my kids and my nephews in basketball. And one of the first things that a basketball coach teaches basketball players is, who has it? First thing, dribble. The first thing is dribble. And when you teach a new player how to dribble, one of the first things that you do is you teach them how to not look at their hands. And the reason that you can't look at your hands is that if you are looking at your hands and the ball, you can't see the play. And if you can't see the play, you can't make the play. And so as we go forward in this next year, one of the important things I think for us as a community is going to be to keep our head up and keep our eyes forward. And this does a couple of things. It allows us to see those circumstances where we might be called to respond. It also helps us see opportunities that we couldn't have predicted that appear out of nowhere. But one of the most important things that it does is it allows us to support each other. It allows us to see that a friend is in need of support. It allows us to know that a neighbor needs a hand. It allows us to welcome a stranger to our community. This is a difficult and unpredictable time. We don't know what the future holds exactly, but we don't need to know because we know who we are. We are a community that believes in fairness. We believe in kindness. We believe in the rule of law. And we believe in the Constitution. And while we might be inclined to droop down a little bit here, we're not going to do that. We're going to travel down this bumpy road into an uncertain future together with our heads up and our eyes forward, because that's what allows us to see the play forming. As I have talked with mayors around Oregon and around other regions of the country, one thing has become very clear. Progress in the near term on so many of the things we care about is going to happen right here at the community level, where we and other communities like ours will continue to innovate, solve problems, and look after each other. We are going to continue to aggressively pursue our shared goals. We are going to continue to leverage the fantastic expertise and the generous hearts of our people in solving difficult local challenges. And each of us will stumble at some point, so we're going to take care of each other. And we're going to find joy wherever we can, any chance we get. It is my honor and privilege to serve as your mayor. As we face these challenges, there is no place else I would rather be, and no one else I would rather be with. Ernest Hemingway once said, "Courage is grace under pressure." Let's make 2025 a year of great courage. So heads up and eyes forward, Ashland. There is no shortage of good work to be done. And here in Ashland, always, but especially now, we are better together. Thank you. Thank you. We will now move on to our awards presentation. It is now my honor to present the James M. Ragland Volunteer Spirit Community Service Award. Established in 1994, this award was created to honor the contribution of the many public volunteers in the city of Ashland. It is presented annually in memory of James M. Ragland, who was an Ashland City Council president, planning commissioner, and community visionary, whose dedication and volunteerism was a major influence in the order and beauty that is Ashland today. Past recipients of the award have included individuals, volunteer groups, and organizations that have made significant contributions to Ashland in a variety of ways. This year, we have one award winner, Cherise Sidoriak. Cherise, oh yeah, we're going to do this several times. Cherise has dedicated an unbelievable amount of time, over 3,000 hours and counting, to Ashland's wildfire mitigation efforts after a career in fire management at the federal level. Cherise shares her whole self and is one of our most reliable and dedicated volunteers. Here are just a few of the accomplishments and ongoing projects Cherise is contributing to. She initiated and co-developed the Wildfire Risk Assessment Program that trains volunteers who have now performed over 300 wildfire risk assessments at people's homes throughout Ashland for free. She designed a database tool that helps people select appropriate plants for their yard. Cherise became an integral part of the team to rewrite the Ashland Community Wildfire Protection Plan. And in this ongoing effort, she has co-authored the successful grant for $250,000 to update the plan, assembled a CWPP project guide to help community members and staff navigate the plan update process, which is no small thing if you've seen one of these plan processes. She also serves as community liaison and co-lead on the CWPP team and leads a work group coordinating other volunteers to help interview members of socially vulnerable populations and develop strategies to reduce their wildfire risk. Charisse has interviewed over 150 households in this demographic, knocking on doors and navigating difficult conversations with a segment of the population that is often overlooked in traditional outreach and communication. Charisse and her husband designed and summarized 3 public surveys that are being used to gauge wildfire awareness and attitudes among Ashland citizens. She has performed over 75 wildfire risk assessments on properties in Ashland herself, a process that takes approximately 3 hours of preparation, time on site, and reporting. Charisse has been a lead instructor for the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute for the past 5 years, teaching classes about forest and wildfire safety that have featured local experts, including Charisse herself. She has transformed her own property into a wildfire mitigation example at significant cost and work. She regularly offers up her home and property for educational opportunities to help others achieve fire readiness. Charisse and her husband Walter are frequent hosts to traveling musicians who play concerts in Ashland. She has made it a top priority in her volunteer work to ensure that vulnerable residents are heard and their issues are promoted in the planning and implementation of any fire prevention, funding, and work. Her broader work on wildfire issues helps put Ashland in a position to be one of the most forward-thinking and acting communities in the country. Charisse inspires people to act and make changes and helps organize the collective work of wildfire mitigation. She is what could be summarized best as a community change agent who has helped to highlight ways we can improve the equitable participation of all citizens in wildfire risk reduction. I have had the good pleasure of working with Charisse myself, and I can't tell you how pleased I am to be giving her this award this evening. I would like to, at this point, invite Chris Chambers up. He's going to share just some brief reflections of working directly with Charisse.
Thank you, Mary Graham. I'm really, really pleased to be here to help honor Charisse. She and I have worked countless hours together just over the past year. And if we were a dynamic duo, she is certainly the Batman and I'm the Robin in the relationship. Her leadership, what she has brought to the table to this community, the depth that she cares about how we are all going to survive this hotter, drier, and more fiery future is really incredible to behold. The kind of work, the kind of discussions that we have are the kinds of things that most of you probably don't want to think about on a daily basis, and how you're going to evacuate, what happens if my house burns down, all the unpleasantries that we see in the news. And we have to have those discussions and make plans about that every single day. And her fortitude to withstand that, be resilient, come to meetings every day, show up hour after hour after hour is absolutely incredible. And I should also mention that she does not come alone. Her husband Walter is part of the partnership with Charisse, and he has also provided countless hours of volunteer time behind the scenes. So thank you, Walter. I didn't want to forget to mention that. So Charisse, it's really an honor to work with you, and I know that this work is not even close to done, and there's a lot more to do. And I know that in the future, your unflinching dedication to this community will, at some point, allow us to step back and say, wow, we just had this horrible fire and we saved our community, and Charisse will be a huge part of that story. So thank you so much.
Counselors? So counselors, if you can come up along this side, and then I'll invite Charisse forward, please. I'm going to stay clear for obvious reasons, but if you can line up over there with Chris as well, and Sabrina will present the award.
Thank you for all the kind words. I would like to suggest that we stay silent for about 10 seconds, not minutes, honoring the thousands of people who have been affected by wildfire, especially since the Paradise Fire in 2018. Tens of thousands of homes have been lost, lives disrupted, and over 200 people have been killed. This is just really hard to really appreciate, and it could happen here in Ashland, which is why we are working on a community wildfire protection plan to help you save yourselves. And just a few seconds. Thank you. And then the last thing I want to do is there are quite a few wildfire risk persons here, people who help people reduce risk, either by doing assessments or physically helping them reduce risks. Could you please stand? I can attest to the passion that they all have. We all need to be passionate on this topic because it's going to be something we have to face, I'm sorry to say, but we can do it as a community. And I'm looking forward to hearing your comments and thoughts when we release the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, because that's the roadmap to our future, and it should be coming out in April.
Thank you, Sharice. I will now present the Alan C. Bates Public Service Award. This annual award is offered in memory of the late Senator, Dr. Alan Bates, who represented Ashland and Southern Oregon in the state legislature for 16 years. Through his service, we got to see what it means to work towards something that is bigger than ourselves. The Bates Award is a way to recognize and thank individuals in the public sector for outstanding efforts to make Ashland a strong and beautiful community. Potential honorees are elected or appointed officials, government employees, or community members engaged in public policy. This year, the Alan C. Bates Public Service Award is presented to two people, Keith Swink and Tom Giordano, both of whom served on the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee for nearly 20 years. We'll start with Keith. Keith's interest in historic preservation began long before he was working in the building trades, since the study of history had been his lifelong passion. After learning his craft as a finished carpenter and cabinet maker, he eventually started his own business as a residential remodeling contractor in Los Angeles. This is when Keith had the opportunity to work on remodeling historic homes, which combined his love of history with the satisfaction of restoring the character and integrity of historic buildings. He soon became aware that Los Angeles had a well-established historic commission, which required compliance with a stringent set of standards. In reflecting on this period, Keith counts himself as fortunate for having had to meet these strict building and design requirements, because he observed firsthand the inferior results from decades of substandard renovations. When Keith moved to Ashland in 1998 and reestablished his contracting business in Southern Oregon, he continued to pursue his interest in working on historic buildings and applied to serve on what was then the Ashland Historic Commission. And that was in 2003. He served on the commission for almost 19 years and was regarded as a reliable and steady hand in carrying out the commission's responsibilities to ensure that proposed building projects in the 4 historic districts not only reflected the architectural integrity of the original building, but also retained the character of the surrounding neighborhoods. At the same time, Keith was always attentive to the perspective of the homeowners and builders in the commission's deliberations. Keith's enthusiasm for learning about Ashland's history has become a driving force, became a driving force in his commitment to raise public awareness of the history of the people and places that shaped the city's heritage. He encouraged the commission to recognize the important part it plays in educating the community about how Ashland's historic resources, whether they be houses, commercial buildings, parks, or whole neighborhoods, serve as a kind of touchstone for remembering the stories of the many and diverse people who came before us. Keith urged the commission to learn more about the indigenous people who made this land their home long before the pioneers settled here and before the historic structures we seek to preserve were even built. He called for us to acknowledge the importance of the stories and contributions of the people and cultures that were often forgotten in the telling of our history. Our community is indebted to Keith for his service in preserving the architectural heritage of Ashland's historic districts, and for challenging us to become more intentional in remembering the stories of indigenous people. Unfortunately, Keith is not able to be with us tonight, so we will make sure he receives his award. Our second award winner is Tom Giordano. Tom has had a long and impressive career in architecture, city planning, and historic preservation. When he applied to serve on the City of Ashland Historic Commission in 2002, he already had 32 years of professional experience in the fields of architecture, construction, environmental analysis, urban design, comprehensive planning, and historic preservation. He worked for a variety of public agencies in California and Southern Oregon, while at the same time serving clients in his architectural business. When Tom moved to Southern Oregon in 1990, he continued his work in planning as interim director for the cities of Phoenix, Talent, and Jacksonville. During that time, he was also lending his expertise to the staff of Jackson County and served for 6 years on their historic advisory committee. Tom also made significant contributions to the City of Ashland's planning and development programs over the years. He became a sought-after professional supporting the planning staff in formulating building and design standards. He served as chair of Ashland's Citizen Planning Advisory Committee for 5 years. Tom's writing and illustrations were often featured prominently in various City of Ashland publications. And his work in the development of Ashland's site design and review document helped establish design guidelines that were used for years in directing Ashland's development, and which remain central to the city's current site development and design standards. He was listed as one of the consultants in historic preservation on the website of Oregon State Historic Preservation Office, and whether he was working for clients or fulfilling one of his many public roles, Tom's guiding principle was to educate the people he worked with on ways to find common ground with their preferred designs, while also recognizing the responsibility to work cooperatively with community leaders and staff tasked with assuring compliance and government policies. The quality of Tom's professional work in historic preservation has been acknowledged over the years as the recipient of multiple Ashland Historic Preservation Awards on behalf of his clients, as well as one planning award. And now I would like to invite Derek Severson to come forward, or I would like to invite Brandon Goldman to come forward and share some thoughts about working with Tom.
Thank you, Mayor Graham. So it's my great honor to say a few words about Tom Giordano. Words of praise, because he's someone who is dedicated to Ashland's historic preservation and thoughtful planning. It's been an inspiration to me personally, as well as to countless others. As a new city planner, when I started with the city about 25 years ago, Tom was already well entrenched in city matters and serving on the Planning Commission, and later continuing on as a volunteer on the Ashland Historic Preservation Advisory Committee, and as the mayor noted, the Historic Commission at that time. So as someone learning the ropes coming up, I personally benefited from Tom's willingness to share his extensive expertise, both in planning issues as well as architectural design. And Tom not only provided insights on the complexity of land use planning to a new planner and provided that freely, he also offered encouragement and demonstrated how a career in planning can be deeply rewarding. He showed me and many others in our department how our community's identity is shaped through the public process to which he's dedicated himself. Tom's remarkable talent for illustrating design concepts has been especially impactful in our city. His ability to translate complex land use planning code into visual representations such as those used in the design guidelines and master plan illustrations, helped us envision how what is admittingly rather dry planning code language can be translated into beautiful buildings and vibrant neighborhoods. His illustrations have made it easier for the community to see how historic elements that make Ashland special can be preserved while helping visualize how new areas take shape in harmony with the Ashland community. Historic preservation ultimately connects us to our past, enhances our community's identity, and fosters the charm that draws people to live, work, and visit here. And Tom is one of the many volunteers that has dedicated his time, skills, and passion to improving and preserving the community we all cherish. Ultimately, I think Tom exemplifies the old adage that you leave a place better than when you found it. And his dedication of time and talent to preserving Ashland's history while shaping its future with care and vision. So I'm pleased. I hope you can all join me in celebrating Tom Giordano, an extraordinary volunteer and visionary leader whose contributions will be a legacy for Ashland and future generations to come. Thank you, Tom.
Tom, please come up. There he comes. Come on down, Tom. One last round of applause for all of our award winners. And Tom has a few words for us.
Very brief. I'm so overwhelmed. And I'm glad to see the city is still in good hands. I've been not really involved as much as I used to be. And to come here tonight and see all the people, the staff, the elected officials, mayor, I'm just incredibly impressed by all of you, and thank you for your services. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So now I would like to invite Sabrina to come back up. She'll give us instructions for the last bit of the evening in terms of what we do at those tables. And while she's coming up, thank you again so much for coming out tonight. In-person meetings are so incredibly important in a community. I think they will be becoming more important as we go on. And it's just great to see everyone out here taking an interest in their city government.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Graham. Thank you for that address. So for the rest of the evening, we have wonderful staff here. We have our Conservation Division, our Parks and Rec Department. We have AFN representatives, Wildfire Preparedness, some of our CERT and RAP folks who you've heard about tonight, as well as our emergency manager about emergency preparedness. So we welcome you to come learn about what we do at the city. I will be here to answer questions as well. We also have council members sprinkled around. Feel free to tag them. And thank you again for attending tonight. And when our time is up, I will come up here and start singing so everyone will exit. Thank you.